The thing about RFK Jr., it for me is that it's always fun to see somebody actually speak out against what's actually wrong with our country,
Right.
and he's doing so. He's like 90, he's like 90% better. Like, it was like when Tulsi was telling the truth about Syria, and people would say, no, she's pro-war because she's for the drone war. I'm like, yeah, but she's the only person who's telling
Hmm.
the truth about Syria, and then we work on her to get her away from the drone war. That's the way it's supposed to go. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater when you had something great, that someone who's telling the truth, who's actually in the military, who's actually in Congress, who's actually willing to tell the truth and be called a Russian for doing so, which just revealed the Democratic Party of being as big a hypocrites as Donald Trump could ever be. Remember when they gave him shit about saying shit about the dead Gold Star family? Oh my God, everybody, you guys are saying that worse shit about someone who's currently serving in those bullshit fucking wars. And so that there was all faux outrage. So all their outrage about Donald Trump is all faux outrage. If you believe that they are outraged at CNN and MSNBC and the political class at Donald Trump because he's lying in Washington, then I've got a bridge to sell you in Florida. What they're angry at Donald Trump is because he every once in a while tells a truth that you're not supposed to say. Like, hey, the deep state is real and it's controlling things, and we're in oil. That's why the troops are there. By the way, they just announced they're building another permanent base,
Yeah.
permanent in fucking Syria. We control a third of that country, 33%. And that's the part where they have all the oil and the part where they grow all the food. And if Putin was doing that, we'd be calling him a monster. But of course, we're doing it right next door as we pretend like we're Boy Scouts trying to help the people of Ukraine. What we're really doing is seeing how many Ukrainians we can get slaughtered until they say what they're done. And so we can try to put an economic hurt on Russia. And it's not working. It's actually backfiring. All the things they said Donald Trump was going to do, make our friends turn against us and join alliances against us. That's happening now because Joe Biden is making people have economic alliances, like Russia is getting together with China, right? We cut off Germany from Russia because we feared that. That's why the Nord Stream pipeline, there was a plan to blow it up before Putin ever invaded Ukraine. And so now the BRICS is happening. So there's all these economic powers centers joining together. Now South America is going to have their own world currency. The Africa, everybody's starting to come. Oh,
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia is now starting to sell oil in other denominations than the U.S. greenback. So these are all the things that they said Donald Trump was going to bring, and that he was embarrassing us and nobody respected us. This is exactly what's happening right now because we're run by a bunch of homicidal, murderous maniacs who do blood money. That's all we have, a death economy. What we do, and we do, if people saw a map of all the military bases we have around the world, we have 400 military bases surrounding China since the Korean War, and we're pretending someone else is the terrorist in the world. And so now China and Russia are starting to bring peace to the world, and they're starting to go to Africa and invest instead of investing in civil war and trying to coup their leaders and then steal their natural resources, what NATO and the United States and the World Bank does, and the CIA. So they're bringing peace. They now have Syria back into the Arab League. They brought Iran talking back
Yeah.
together with. So it's amazing the peace that's happening, and all the United States knows how to do is give billions of dollars to the CIA to go foment civil war and try to decapitate people, create instability, like we did in Libya, which was the most successful country in all of Africa. Everybody had healthcare, everybody had food, everybody had education, everybody had a job, and then we went in there and we funded the ISIS and terrorism, and now it's a failed state, and nobody has anything, and they have open slave markets. That's what the United States does, and now China and Russia are coming in, and they're bringing peace to those places and investment. And the United States is being wiped out of the world. People are done. Even now, France is signaling they're done working with the United States, and they want people to stand up to us against in relations to this Ukraine war.
Wow.
And so that's what's happened. They said all this was going to be happening with Donald Trump. It's all happening now because the neocon war maniacs that are sanctioned by Wall Street are back in charge in the military-industrial complex. But of course, nobody hears this story because if the news doesn't say it's a story, meaning Rachel Maddow and Anderson Cooper
Right.
and Sean Hannity, if they don't say it's a story, then it isn't a story, and nobody fucking knows about it. And Americans don't know, as you always say, Nick, that they're the most propagandized country in the world.